All right. Hi, this is Jeff at the Big Hairy Dog, and this is a PRISM webinar on sales orders. And the agenda looks roughly like this. We're going to look at some preferences, some types, deposits, fulfilling orders, that kind of thing. The new feature about receiving, and then we'll peek at some reports. So this is sales orders in PRISM. All right, so let's go to see if we can get here we go. So if we go to admin console and node preferences, node selection, generally inside the company, above the stores, minimize, right, in preferences, and then transactions and orders. So I've got all three of mine. I got customer orders, I got layaways, and I got special orders. All three of these are enabled. We can optionally require a deposit. So you can put the amount in percentage wise and the require button. If you don't know, like in the case of a special order, you don't know how much the cost is till you get with the buyer and the buyer tells you. You could say, look, we require a 100% deposit and check off require, but not check off require, excuse me. You could say 100%, but not check it off. Then when you take one, it'll suggest 100, but you're not required to take one if you don't know, right? That's a good option. Generally speaking, on the right-hand side here, it would be after final deposit. The exception would be if you were like a furniture store and somebody put like a special order down on a couch, they put half down, and you had a delivery service. So then you'd set it to anytime, allow always, because then you could record the sale, deliver the couch, take the final payment when you're there at their house, come back, post the final deposit, you know what I mean, and then close the order, right? So, but most of my clients actually set it to after final deposit. You got to have the money before you can make a sale. And even then, recording a sale is a kind of a layaway function. Mostly we fill the orders, but there you go, right? So these are the settings that pertain to the layaways and the orders. I set mine to 14 days here as a suggested due date, which is pretty fair. 2 weeks is pretty fair. You can always adjust it, but people don't. So I think it's wise to put a default in. I'm going to save that. I'm going to pop back around to point of sale. All right, so we've got 3 different types of orders here, right? So if I click order right now, I get a menu of 2 of them. So where's the third one? So we got customer orders and layaways right there. The special order is in the options menu right here. And it's a very different animal, so we'll come back to that in a sec, right? Now, a layaway and a customer order are essentially identical. The difference is more in our head. In a layaway, we have the product and we're taking payments over time. In a customer order, this is an item we carry all the time. We just happen to be out of stock on it, and we're going to get one in for that customer and notify them when it gets here. So, we may or may not take a deposit on a customer order because it's an item we typically carry and just happen to be out of stock on. So, if we don't take a deposit, we'll just put it on the floor and sell it anyway. Of course, with a layaway, I would strongly recommend that we take a deposit because you're pulling an item off the floor and it's going to be off the floor for 30 to whatever, 60 to 90 days. And by the time it comes out of a layaway, if they don't take it, all the other members of that style are going to be gone. And so they have to pay for us to do that, right? That's not something that we do for free, if that makes sense. All right, so let's take an order, right? Let's click on customer order. Let's grab a customer. So the requirements for any order are pretty simple. You got to have a customer, you got to have an item, right? So I just threw a customer on there. And my VM's running a little slow. Let's grab an item. I'm not sure it matters what item. I'm just going to grab an item. Let's see what we got. All right, pair of shoes. Select. Kind of a weird price, but all right. So let's go to tender. And it asks if we want to take a deposit. So in this case here, I did not require one for this. So I could say like I could put in 250 here, or I could just say none and blow right through it, right? But I'll say 250, and then it asks us how we're going to take that. We'll just take that cash and print update. I guess we should print update. It's ready to update only, but let's see what do we have in here. Right, so we've got the item listed right here, right? Then down below, we have a nice order summary. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see what the heck is going on here, right? So 0 items sold, right? 0 items sold, but it does have the deposit coming in, and it shows the receipt total, and then the amount of the deposit as cash, and then the order summary shows that we took 250 and we have a balance due of 280. So a nice summary at the bottom. Let's zoom back out on that and cancel that. And let's make a layaway real quick. So let's go click into a layaway and add a customer. And I'm just using a wildcard. I'm just using, nobody would do this search for real, but this basically saying anything with the letter A in the description one, right? Which is a little bit, like I said, that's a little odd. Nobody would actually do that search, but you know. So we have a layaway. I don't know how that item got to be priced at $5, but all right. Let's go to price and say it's 29. Okay. Go to price and go to 29.99. So we have a little bit of money to play with here, right? It's an inverted discount, but that's all right. All right. So now let's go to tender. And this time you see the 20% minimum deposit is already in there, and it says, hey, that's a minimum. So you can't go below that. Now we could raise it. We could go higher if we wanted to, right? Or we could just take the minimum deposit. So I'm just going to take the minimum deposit, click OK, take the cash. It's going to look exactly the same as the last one. So I'm going to update only. And let's make a special order, right? So a special order is different. So let's put a customer on there, right? And the reason it's different is because with a special order, I could actually make a new item. So I could build a brand new item that hadn't existed before. You click in there and then you start putting in the departments, right? And you put in the vendor and you put in, oh, let's see here. Size 15, right? Yeah, black. Order cost, I have no idea. We'll just say $50. I'm sure it's not. And we'll say it's $100, right? And click save. So we can actually create a new item and have it write to inventory and to our transaction at the same time, right? Now, in the case of special order, if I wanted to add additional special order items, the order function here is grayed out. We can't go there. We have to go back down here, right? And go to special order. And then I could, for instance, find an existing item and I could go browse for it here in inventory and I could pick one. So maybe they want one jacket. I don't know. So if I double click the jacket, it puts it on there, right? So one's an existing item, one's a new item. If I scan an item, it's going to be a sale item. You follow? And in fact, you could sell items on here on any of these three, right? You could actually put an item that you're selling. So here we have special, oh, stop, cancel, stop messing with me. Okay, you see we got a special order item, we got a special order item, we got a sale. Mixing a sale with the order is native to this version, and it just goes out the door, and the order tracks the remaining order items, right? So there's really no problem with it that I can see. Anyway, so we got a tender, and it pops up and says, okay, this loyalty points are popping up for this customer. Let's just skip this. This is not about loyalty points today. There's our deposit, right? So with the special order, normally I would recommend taking the full amount because I could have just clicked balance, right? But we don't go out on a limb and order something that we've never carried before for free, right? This is not a charity. We're in business, so now this is another difference right here with a special order. It'll actually ask to generate a PO, and we're going to say yes, and we're going to give it a vendor and hit save, and it'll generate that PO. That's a questionable act, right? Depending on who's doing the buying and how you're communicating with them and what's the frequency of orders. See, if we get a lot of special orders, it might be more beneficial to run a report, collect all the items from a given vendor and order them all at once on one big PO than having, 25 or 30 little onesie POs. But it did what we asked it to do, right? So if we hop around and go look at the purchase order lookup, we should find a PO dated today. Of course, I've got no dates in my POs, but I'm pretty sure that's the one. I clean up everybody else's screen, but I don't clean up mine, and my PO's screen is checked, but I'm sure that's the right one. Yeah, today's date. It has one item on it, but I apologize for that. My didn't think I was going to be in PO land, but I forgot about that cool little feature, right? All right, so obviously that PO, it could be modified. You could go add some items to it, or you could cancel it and put that item on a different order. There's a lot of options there, but this is really not about the ordering process. All right, so types of POs. I think we've got that, right? Taking deposit, we've sort of got that down, but let's go look at that layaway, right? So next question is, how do I find these orders, right? So if I go to transaction lookup here, let's zoom out a little so we can see the whole screen. I could just click search. I mean, these are going to be the last three, and there they are, right? But I could also come down here and say order status pending, search for all pending orders, and of course it drops it to just the three that are current and pending, right? So let's go to the layaway. Let's choose to view the transaction, and let's go to order details. So order details is everything. Once you got the order created, the order details it's pretty much everything. So we click in there, you see we've got a lot of options here. We can fulfill the order, you can take a deposit. We can't record the sale because of our security setting, or our preference setting, excuse me, in the system preferences or admin console. We said you have to have all the money before you can record the sale, right? So here's your order dates. Our order dates should be set, so we set the due date automatically to 14 days out. And this is why I do it, because it's rare that people go into here and set the dates. It's out of place. We got deposit history, got close order and fulfill history. So right now we have a deposit. There it is, right? So let's say we want to take another deposit, right? So we would go here on the layaway. We'd say take a deposit. It would ask us how much. Now I could put in an amount and then take another one and put in an amount. I'm just going to take the whole balance here, right? And click OK. And it takes us into the a new transaction. There's no items on it because we're just taking the deposit, right? So we take the deposit and update only. I'm not really as fond of this, and you'll see why here in a sec. Now to finish that layaway, I've got to go find it again. And so here it is. And if we view the transaction again, which it seems a little awkward, but there's a better way to do that. So we'll look at that in a sec. But in here now I can record the sale, right? So a layaway is really designed to take deposit, take deposit, take deposit, take deposit, and then boom, after the final deposit is taken, record the sale. Okay, would you like to print the record sale receipt? Yes, generally we would want to print the receipt because this is the actual receipt, right? So if we preview this receipt, am I going to get 2 copies of that? I don't know. All right, so let's swing around I guess it's a little slow there. I clicked twice and it's messing with me, but right. So here we zoom in on this, right? Right. So what's the payment method, right? The payment method is deposit. So we've collected these deposits, which would be technically a liability in our accounting software over the course of the last 6 weeks, right? And then they paid it off and we recorded the sale and boom, it just transferred that liability over to cost of goods sold and used that money to pay off the transaction, right? And so now, back out of here a little bit. There we go. Cancel that second print job. Are we good here? I think we're good. All right. Back. All right. Let's just swing around here and let's look at the other. So this one here, I'm guessing maybe that's an anomaly because usually it will show prompted us, but I'm just going to go in here and we'll do it manually and then we'll look at the other option here in a sec. This order really should be closed, right? Amount due. Wait a second. We have an amount due. Oh, I did it twice. Nice. Well, you know what? That was a screw up because my VM was running so slow. We're not going to waste time fixing that. But yeah, I guess you could do that. I probably should report that to the developer. All right, so let's talk about a real situation here, right? So with a layaway or with a customer order, you could take multiple deposits over time. And then when they come in to pick it up and there's a final payment due, right? You could just go into the actual order. You could go to the order details and just say fulfill order, right? And say, I'm going to say fulfill all due. Now, I could highlight this and say just this item. If I had 6, I could fulfill 1, not all, but there's only 1 on here. So I'm just going to click all due and bring it on back to the receipt. It fills in the customer, puts the item on there. I go to tender. It says, hey, you've got a deposit on this. Do we want to use that? Yes, we do. Take that deposit, right? And then you could just take the balance, right? Whatever's left, you could take as cash or a check or a credit card or whatever, right? And then print update. And preview. And you just have a split tender here at the bottom, right? So we got cash and deposit, right? Cancel, cancel. And then it pops up and says this order has been completely fulfilled, which I was kind of looking for on the layaway, but maybe there it doesn't work with record sale. But honestly, nobody uses record sale because that awkward search for the transaction twice thing, right? When you get to the final deposit, just fulfill the order and take the money, right? That's the real thing. Then say yes right here, and then it'll. Are you sure you want to close the order? Yes, I'm still sure. Yeah. So that'll close the order automatically as we go, which is a lot cleaner, generally speaking, than having to go back around, right? Okay, so we looked at looked at taking deposits. We did not refund a deposit. We could go play with that. We did fulfill an order. We did not cancel an order, but we could go refund the deposit and cancel the order, right? Okay, so we did look at closing orders after they're fulfilled, but the automatic prompt there at the end of that is just so much nicer. Now, I should point out, and I meant to do this at the beginning, and I even wrote it down, and then I skipped it and didn't do it. But I wanted to go to help here, and I wanted to go to about, and just show everybody that I'm on this version here, right? 2.4.1.1034 is the build. And so some of these features, if you're on an earlier version, aren't there. And now the next version is coming out very shortly. This is, March of 2025, and they're supposed to be out with 2.5 soon. But right now, if you're out there on 2.2 or 2.3, you may or may not have all these features, right? So how we would go about giving a deposit back, right? So let's do a transaction lookup. Let's find that special order. And of course, the one is gone now. This one's just a wreck, but this is a sandbox. Nobody cares. All right, so we're going to view transaction. We're going to go to order details. I'm going to say take deposit. And here I'm just going to say, give the money back, basically minus whatever I want to do here. I don't even remember how much I took, but let's say I'm going to give back 20 bucks. Then you'd say, okay. And it would take you to the tender screen. Well, take you to a transaction that would then say, we're going to give them some money back and cash, and print that receipt, or don't print the receipt. They'll be happy if they just get their money. So giving money back is just doing a negative deposit. That's really all it is. And that has always been the best way, no matter what version you're on. If you're watching this from version 8 or version 9, version 8 and previous versions allowed you to void that deposit, which is a mistake, because typically the deposit's made on the first of the month and you're now voiding it on the 30th or the 15th or whatever. You're going to blow up both days tender reconciliation, right? So you don't void old transactions. You absolutely give the money back, right? You just make a negative deposit, right? All right, so I took 185 and I gave back 20. So if I wanted to give back the rest, 165.49, looking at deposit history, I would just say again, take a deposit, and I'd say negative 165.49 and say okay, and go to tender and give the money back. And of course, I don't know if you guys noticed, but options transaction lookup. Don't go back to the main menu. That's way too much work, right? View transaction, order details, order deposit. No, not take deposit history. Right, so we're at 0, right? Okay. Now, before I kill this, now to cancel this, honestly, would just be close order, right? And say, yes, I'm sure, right? But I'd like to do something before that. I'd like to take a look at item 23 there and 155, okay? And I'd like to go take a look at a new feature here in this version. So let's go to store operations, receiving, new voucher, and vendor, and let's say 000023 and 000155. I think that was the other one. Let's find out. Yeah, looks good. Good. So let's say we're receiving these and we hit update only. Why isn't that working? Well, let's just try a new one here. Let's say we have a customer order and we have some items on it. That's enough. 18 through 21. Okay. And going to have a customer. Tender transaction. Yep. Let's just say balance. Okay. And take an update. And let's go around now and try that. Receiving new voucher. And search. All right, there we go. All right, so we got whatever, two of these, two of these, two of these, two of these. Plenty. Return a document. Update only. Nice. Wait a second. Let's check something. Options. Well, I'm guessing that this version is not the version that does that. So um, I apologize, but there's a new feature. It's brand new, and what it does is it in a receiving transaction, it asks if you want to see the items that are on order, and then shows you a list of transactions. You can click into each transaction, see the items, and print the order, then back up, print the next one, print the next one. Allows you to pull the items out, and I'm guessing there's an update here that I'm missing that gives me that. So I apologize. It's a brand new feature. I really wanted to show it. I thought I had it in here, but clearly it's the next build. But it's brand new, and it's really worth if you do a lot of special orders, it's definitely worth updating to that newer version to get that. All right, so let's go check out some reports. So I've built some reports, and honestly, you'll have to like set a time up with me if you want something like this. Um, but let's take a quick peek at some of this, right? So I'm just going to click run, and this is just showing um, orders, right? And the ones we just did are down here at the bottom, right? And it's showing the balance due. You know, this is at the transaction level, right? So quantity ordered, quantity filled, right? So in this case here, we overfilled this order, the layaway. That's true, actually. That's the one we screwed up. I screwed up, right? So you can see where they've ordered something and it's still due. So this is at the transaction level. This is the bird's eye view. Now let's go look at the other option. And I built two different versions of this, and I made multiple different like one-offs, right? But this is the same thing, except this one here has the items on it, right? I really thought that one. Let's take a look at. Let's try this one here. Yeah, the other one needed to have these groupings put in, and I didn't really feel like editing the report on the webinar here, but you know, so this thing here is showing, you know, the transaction values first, right? And then if we scroll over to the right, the items over on the far right hand side, right? And we could turn on a subtotal if we want to see a subtotal per order or not, right? I mean, because over here you see the 19 is the total, and then over there it breaks down, which doesn't seem to make sense. There's something wrong with that data, but no, something's wrong with that field too. No, yeah, no, 17, 17, 24. I don't know. I have to play with that. This might be an old version, but you see where we're going though. I have these reports in the field. I have them working. This might be an old version, but there's depending on what you're trying to do and what you're reporting on, right? Um, it's nice to have a version of a report that you could kick out and give to the buyer, and they could go look it over at a bird's eye view and see the items or not see the items. Either way, right? So um, anyway, the reporting is totally possible on sales orders. Um, although there's not really a lot of good default reports in Crunch. So sales orders in general are really good in PRISM. I have to say I was reluctant, having been around for quite a few years and used different versions. I was used to the separate menus in versions 8 and 9, and having them combined is benefit. It really is. So I'm going to say if you're looking at this and you're on the older version, to consider it, because it's you can sell and order all at the same time. We can print a barcode for the order. They can scan it to find the order. You can easily find it by the customer's name. Um, anyway, that's roughly it for sales orders and in Prism. So I'm going to say thank you very much for watching, and hope this helps. And see you next time.